which we are celebrating the 80th anniversary of the Carnegie Hall concert, and most specifically that day, January 16th, 1938. Who here knows anything about that at all? Excellent. So there's a lot of things we celebrate in swing dancing, and like Frankie Manning celebrated his 100th birthday. Frankie Manning was one of the founders of the dance. Norma Miller is coming up on 100 as well. She's also one of the founders of the dance. We celebrate the birth of swing. We celebrate the different anniversaries in Balboa, different anniversaries in Shag, and we're also looking to celebrate the music. So without the music, there is no dance. The music and the dance were created together, actually, literally together. There are stories of Frankie Manning and his Lindy Hoppers hanging out on the side of the stage with Count Basie's band and going, hey, so what are you guys working on? Well, we're doing this.
Yeah,
oh, that's cool because we're doing this. Right? You have dancers and musicians actively working together. And so that's why swing music is so perfect for Lindy Hop, for Balboa, for collegiate shag. It blends seamlessly. So tonight, we're going to celebrate the 80th anniversary of July 16th, 1938. And I've got slides and I've got music. So I'm going to be coming back and forth with this. And hopefully, I'm not blocking that too much. I also have, let's see here. Oh yeah, I also have a laser pointer. So this is an actual, we've got a lot of photos and a lot of audio from the Carnegie Hall concert. This is one of those photos. And here you can see out front and center Benny Goodman on clarinet. Also of notable identification is Gene Krupa over here on drums. So the Carnegie Hall show, and I'm going to refer to my phone because I do have a lot of quotes that I like to get accurate and specific, so please don't mind the kind of this thing and whatnot. Carnegie Hall, New York City, it was a true community center, a community arts center. It had 3 different halls. It had a main hall that sat 2,800 people. It had a recital hall that was below the main hall that sat 1,200 people. And it had a chamber music hall that sat 250 people. This is Carnegie Hall circa 19XX. I don't know the specific date, but we're going to call it old. It's still there. It's still very large. It had 170 studios, 30 offices and apartments, and 9 shops. It opened May 5th, 1891 to the likes of Tchaikovsky. Actually the guy, not a record or a CD. Actually Tchaikovsky going, right? And as I do that, if you guys have any questions at any time, feel free to either yell them out or raise your hand. This is an interactive thing. I like answering questions. I like taking questions. Don't be shy. It also, over its time, hosted Rachmaninoff, Mahler, and Strauss. And those were significant because up until January 16th, 1938, it was an exclusive home to classical music. It did not play pop music. And that is very significant. Also, it was host to Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, gave a talk there, along with Churchill and Ernest Shackleton. Who knows what Ernest Shackleton did? What did he do? North Pole. A couple of fun things about it. It was the, yes sir? South Pole? Oh, was it the South Pole? I've been saying North Pole this entire year. So I've been giving this celebration talk since December something of last year in Sweden, and this is my 9th one. No one's corrected me. So I appreciate the correction. South Pole. A couple other key facts about Carnegie Hall. It was the first all-fireproof building in New York City, which is significant in those days, right? All fireproof. It had its own steam-powered electrical generation system, to which it has never had its power cut. And it had air conditioning. And again, we're talking 2,800 people. And say New York City in June, it's what, 600-700 degrees, 8,000% humidity. And the air conditioning system would keep everyone cool. And how they did it was they had a bunker in the basement where they put ice. And the ice would just evaporate and go through pipes and then filter in and cool everyone off. On a hot evening, such as that in June, 30 tons of ice they would go through to cool off the building. 30 tons. So next time you guys complain about the heat while dancing, think twice. It's not that bad. So we're gonna listen to just one song here to give you some reference as to what they were listening to at the time. From 1937 through 1938. So while this may not have actually been played there, this was an idea of like the music, right? Classical music. And you can kind of give a vague reference to what swing music sounds like and how different that is. We're gonna get into what they actually played in a little bit. So this would mark the first time that pop music was actually played at Carnegie Hall, which is ultra significant because it was a taste center, right? This is where, you know, a lot of people with, you know, their turned up noses and very nice clothing would go and decide what was cool and what wasn't cool at the time, right? Predominantly white, and they were not necessarily uber wealthy, but definitely had money, right? And when I say that, we have to, keep track of my slides here. Where is So I say that, and we can't make the statement of the first ever jazz concert at Carnegie Hall without mentioning James Reese Europe and his Clef Club Orchestra. James Reese Europe played Carnegie Hall in 1912. The distinction between Benny Goodman and James Reese Europe is that James Reese Europe was playing what they call proto-jazz. So it wasn't necessarily jazz or swing, whereas Benny Goodman was playing clearly jazz, clearly swing, which is why he gets the marker as the first pop concert at Carnegie Hall. But there's still value to identify James Reese Europe and his Clef Club Orchestra. James Reese Europe is also marked as possibly having the first integrated band, which Benny Goodman technically holds the title to that as well. James Reese Europe and his Finding Hellcats was a war band, and they were integrated on some level, but there's arguments as to the percentages and were there any white people in it and whatnot. We're not going to delve into that mess, but we're going to talk about James Reese Europe. The Clef Club was an organization that was essentially like a union, right? It wasn't a union because blacks couldn't form unions or wouldn't be recognized, but they fought for black musicians in New York City to hire them and to identify that blacks could play music that was of utmost value, right? They are excellent musicians. There's no reason why you should not hire them. And to put some reference on this, you had a lot of racial turmoil in 1912 for James Reese, as well as in through the 30s. Benny Goodman with this whole anniversary concert. You had clubs where black people were not allowed in unless they were of service, so like a waiter or waitress, or they were performing on stage. So the Kentucky Club, Duke Ellington would play regularly. He was only allowed on stage. He was not allowed in the audience, except for two people, Bill Bojangles Robinson and Josephine Baker. Those were the only two black people that were quote unquote allowed in white clubs. Now, on the same token, if you went into Harlem, it didn't really matter. Blacks and whites, in terms of music and dancing, wasn't an issue, right? We're gonna get more into that when we talk about the Savoy Ballroom. But going back to James Reed Shurup, he had a 125-piece instrumentation that included 14 upright pianos, to which it was described as seductively rhythmic and soft and beautiful, which is also really key to mark, because at the time, black bands created jungle music, white bands created sweet music. And sweet music is your cliche Glenn Miller, right? It's all fluffy and frou-frou and dreamy, right? And you can see grandma and grandpa just like, oh, this is so great, right? That's what white bands made. And jungle music is all the stuff that we dance to that's really cool and awesome, right? It's just swing music, but they call it jungle music. So to call a black band performing soft and beautiful is very significant. You can see in the image here, we've got, let's see, what do we have? We've got like some banjos over here. Looks like we've got some violins, violas here, a cello or 2 or 3 or 40. We've got, I think on closer inspection, we might have a mandolin somewhere over here. A whole bunch of guitars, other really large guitars, and a whole bunch of dudes back there that I don't know what they're doing. They're having a party. And then James Reed Shurup right there up front. So when we talk about jazz, we want to talk about this quote, which comes from the announcement sheet for the Carnegie Hall event, saying, "Real jazz is an intensely collective thing. It is full of improvisations, of life bubbling up in music from musicians who feel it." And that's starting to set a tone for what this concert is meaning. And Carnegie Hall being of the stature that it was, none of these musicians ever thought in a million years that they would ever be playing Carnegie Hall. It was a thing of prominence. It was a heavy burden for them to bear going out onto that stage. There was a huge collection of musicians that would, when they'd see, so, oh, I heard you play Carnegie Hall, awesome, good luck, man, you're gonna do great, right? And everyone was very supportive, the whole music community, very supportive, but it was a huge deal. This is actually a page from one of the programs, or from the program, and what this tells us is you can see that there's a set list, a program, right? So what's happening is that not only is it now the first ever pop music to be played at Carnegie Hall, it's also the first time that jazz will be listened to while sitting. Swing music was not a sit-down experience, as we are all very familiar with. And while there might be tables and chairs on the outside, and you sit and you watch the band, you walk up to the front stage and you watch the band, you are not there to sit and watch a band and listen to the band. This would be the first time that happened, which is, again, very significant. What's also significant is that it would be the first time that an integrated band would appear on the stage of Carnegie Hall. When James, yes sir? Integrated. So integrated at the time would mean black and white together. So while James Reed Shurup was the first black band to play Carnegie Hall in 1912, which is astonishing considering racial tensions, this would be the first time an integrated band would be seen on stage together at Carnegie Hall, or even any large event, to which 10 of the 26 musicians were black. And here, this week, like an insane all-star list. So we all know Benny Goodman. We've got his horn section, Ziggy Elman, Harry James, and the other guy, Chris Griffin, not from Family Guy. We've got trombonists, which they're not really important. They aren't really, you know him. Basie on piano, doing an amazing, amazing solo on Honeysuckle Rose. Teddy Wilson also playing on piano, and they also were playing with 3 different bands, right? Because it was the 20th anniversary of jazz. They were celebrating the 20th anniversary of jazz. Super funny, right? And so they were looking to showcase all the different styles of jazz. Big band swing, trio, quartet, right? They even did a medley that went through a whole bunch of different styles and tunes of jazz that were popular. Medley failed, totally lame, not really good. We're not going to listen to it at all, it's bad. But they were showcasing a whole bunch of different aspects of jazz. And then we can continue down. Alan Royce, Harry Goodman, his brother, Gene Krupa. This will be one of the last appearances of Gene Krupa and Benny Goodman together. Shortly after this, Gene Krupa and Benny Goodman split because Benny Goodman was a total hard ass. And Gene Krupa was someone who was very interested in profiling the drums and creating a sound that dancers could dance to. And when you listen to Gene Krupa play, you can dance through his drum solos. He plays a style called break time, which allows you to dance through. If you ever travel to an event, or if we ever get Jonathan Stout and any of his measures of bands here, their drummer, Josh Colazzo, is the next coming of Gene Krupa. He is maybe top 5 swing drummer of all time, legitimately. And he plays in break time. You can dance through his solos. Chick Webb, not so much, right? But Gene Krupa, absolutely.